Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, and things adjacent. Thank you always for your comments and discussion on the videos. That is a big thrust, big reason why we're all here is, this is not just news about climate change, but also a community for people to come together who understand what's going on and not feel so alone with the knowledge. Because however many of us understand, there are so many more that either don't or don't want to. So I appreciate your presence here. I'm going to start with a little political news. 10 Democratic candidates support fracking ban. Biden stays mum. So this is a good year, or this is a good election cycle for more radical and more progressive ideas on the campaign trail coming from Democrats. They seem to be supporting more radical ideas than in the past, and it's going to be a liability for the candidates that are middle of the road or corporate centrist Democrats to get very very far. This is my own opinion, and I believe my opinion will be borne out. That it's actually these centrist candidates are not going to go very far. I actually see Bernie getting the nomination, unless they do. They're going to have to do something just so outlandish. Biden's already tanking in the polls. He's already lost like 10 percentage points. Bernie continues to maintain momentum. I think we're going to see a Bernie Tulsi Gabbard ticket. That would be my hope, and I actually think that that's very likely, unless the unless the nonsense, the ridiculousness, the propaganda, just becomes just so overt. But they can only do so much. Anyways, I'm going to get into this article just a little bit. With climate disruption looming over the 2020 elections, 10 Democratic presidential candidates have announced that they support a nationwide ban on fracking. That's beautiful. I actually didn't know it was that many candidates. But that's good news. Hydraulic fracturing, or fracking, is the oil and gas production technology that has positioned the United States as the global leader in the fossil fuel production and caused environmental controversies across the country. While some Democrats have pushed for tougher regulation of the industry, fracking has generally enjoyed political support from politicians of both parties since the technology began unlocking massive oil and gas reserves well over a decade ago, and also enjoyed lots of support from the Obama-era administration. The fact that nearly half the Democratic candidates, including several members of Congress, now support an outright ban represents a significant shift in the political status quo. It's a clear sign that climate change, fossil fuels, and the movement for a Green New Deal will dominate the primaries for months to come. Candidates Bernie Sanders, Jay Inslee, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Buttigieg, Bill de Blasio, why is he running? Marianne Williamson, Wayne Messam, and Eric Stilwell all support a ban on hydraulic fracturing or fracking, according to a survey updated Monday by the Washington Post. Several other candidates, including Kirsten Gillibrand and Beto O'Rourke, would not ban fracking but support tougher environmental regulation of the oil and gas industry. Good luck, guys. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did not respond to the survey. Of course they didn't, because they are the centrist corporate Democrats of the field. Probably the bigger named centrist corporate Democrats. And they're not doing well. Kamala Harris is nobody, she came out, and everybody was like, and Biden came out and everybody was like, what? Now, any lead or momentum that Biden has is completely generated by the mainstream media. That is, it is a balloon. It is a empty shell of a lead. It is empty momentum. It is empty support. He does not have support. And he's going to lose support quickly over the next few months. It's not going to be a good race for them. Similar to policies rolled out under President Obama, Biden would support investment in nuclear energy, as well as carbon capture technology that traps emissions from fossil fuel energy sources. Two false solutions often opposed by environmentalists who argue that clean energy means no more fracking, mining for coal, and nuclear plants. John Hickenlooper, the former governor of Colorado, who famously boasted about drinking fracking fluid, is the only Democratic presidential candidate who has enthusiastically supported fracking and pushed back against increased federal oversight. The anti-fracking positions taken by a number of prominent Democrats stand in sharp contrast to the Trump administration, which has declared itself the oil and gas industry's best friend, also fighting for molecules of freedom, and feverishly rolled back environmental protections and federal efforts to respond to the climate crisis. The Democrats' position also diverged from past policies of the Obama administration, which viewed fracked natural gas as a bridge fuel that burns cleaner than coal. For some candidates, support for a fracking ban is not a total surprise. De Blasio and Sanders hail from New York and Vermont, where fracking is unpopular among voters and banned by the state government. Governor Inslee of Washington recently signed a law banning fracking in his home state and has made his plan to tackle climate change the centerpiece of his presidential campaign, which is a great thing. I don't think Jay Inslee has a chance to be president. But the fact that he has climate change as a centerpiece of his campaign is good because it pushes other candidates to take it seriously and to have it be, more of a prominent campaign platform. I'm going to move on to another article. I'll link this below. This is from Vice. New report. Bless you, puppy. New report suggests high likelihood of human civilization coming to an end in 2050. The climate change analysis was written by a former fossil fuel executive and backed by the former chief of Australia's military. Wow. High likelihood of human civilization coming to an end in 2050. What's the date today? 2020. It's pretty soon, guys. And lots of people have their money on it being a lot sooner than that. And by money, I don't mean actual money. I mean their prognosis is that we probably don't have past 2030 or 2040. A harrowing scenario analysis of how human civilization might collapse in coming decades due to climate change has been endorsed by a former Australian defense chief and his senior Royal Navy commander. The analysis, published by the Breakthrough National Centre for Climate Restoration, a think tank in Melbourne, Australia, describes climate change as a near to midterm existential threat to human civilization and sets out a plausible scenario where a business as usual situation could lead over the next 30 years. The paper argues that the potentially extreme serious outcomes of climate-related security threats are often far more probable than conventionally assumed, but almost impossible to quantify because they fall outside the human experience of the last 1,000 years. Of course, we don't expect collapse because we've never seen collapse. Most of the humans on the planet at the moment don't understand. They don't even understand what the Great Depression was like. On our current trajectory, the report warns planetary and human systems are reaching a point of no return by mid-century in which the prospect of a largely uninhabitable Earth leads to the breakdown of nations and the international order. The only way to avoid the risks of this scenario is what the report describes as akin in scale to the World War II emergency mobilization. But this time focused on rapidly building out a zero-emissions industrial system to set in train the restoration of a safe climate. Rapidly building out a zero-emissions industrial system is not going to restore a safe climate. It's going to ensure more CO2 release and more climate ecosystem destruction. So let's begin to correct people or correct this idea that we need to build zero emissions technologies. What we need to build, or what we need to do, is reestablish wilderness areas, reestablish green zones, reestablish the hydrological cycle, as Walter Jane eloquently eloquently put in his video. And yeah, we're gonna have to bring our consumption levels way down. So we can't replace our current system with another system. We have to degrow the system that we have. In And we have to put in place more agricultural systems, more earth-friendly living. That means less consumption, less technology, less things, less gadgets, and we need to live very simply. And we need to cultivate the land and figure out how we're going to capture CO2, and how we're going to deal with other problems like global dimming and nuclear power plants. The scenario warns that our current trajectory, which will likely lock in at least 3 degrees Celsius Celsius, of course, of global heating, which in turn could trigger further amplifying feedbacks, unleashing further warming. This would drive the accelerating collapse of key ecosystems, including coral reef systems, the Amazon rainforest, and in the Arctic. If we get to 3C, we're done. There's no triggering. By all accounts, we've already triggered all of these things. What we're seeing at, whatever we're at, 1.5, let's say, what we're seeing at 1.5, possibly 2C, is cascading extreme weather events that will most likely wipe out our agricultural production. So 3C is done and dusted, as Roger Hallam likes to say. But we're gonna have to figure out how to keep it from going wildly out of control. I don't know how we're gonna do that. Even for 2C, warming more than 1 billion people may need to be relocated, and in high-end scenarios, the scale of destruction is beyond our capacity to model, with a high likelihood of human civilization coming to an end, the report notes. Last October, Motherboard reported on the scientific evidence of the UN Summary Report for Government Policymakers on Climate Change, whose findings were widely recognized as devastating, were in fact too optimistic. A high-end 2050 scenario finds a world in which social breakdown and outright chaos finds a world in social breakdown and outright chaos as sprout, but a short window of opportunity exists for an emergency global mobilization of resources in which logistical and planning experiences of the national security sector could play a valuable role. Yeah, we're going to have to gather all the forces and align them in a singular purpose. And quickly, for those of you playing at home, on an individual level, stop eating meat, stop consuming so much stuff, maybe stop taking part in holiday celebrations where you give things. Gift giving is just a huge waste of resources. Buy only what you absolutely need. Grow your own food. Don't drive a car. Don't get in an airplane. If there's a way that you cannot travel to a job, don't do that. Maybe find communities or build communities in which people can pull their resources together and grow food and, have a little co-op going. On a national and global level, we need to requisition all industry. We need to nationalize all industry and shut down everything that's unnecessary, that's non-essential. Anything that's not food or medical supplies. I don't know what else we could, put under that umbrella, but we also need to pretty much greatly reduce or just take our entire military budget and put it towards the climate change problem. That needs to happen That needs to happen right now. That needs to happen when the president who wins in 2020 takes office. That needs to happen right away. It's not going to happen under Trump, of course. But to any presidential candidate that's running, these are my suggestions. If you really want to take climate change seriously, a Green New Deal is a great start. It's something that gets the conversation going, but there are some things in there that are positive. There are other things that are not so positive. But we need top scientists who are looking at this problem, studying this problem, who know about this problem, who know the magnitude of the problem. We need all those scientists and all those minds to be in, cabinet positions, or be, brought to Washington, D.C. and work closely with the president in order to, craft a 5-year plan to, turn the Titanic. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.